Hello, we are back. Sorry for those of you who were listening maybe about 10 minutes ago. We were having some technical difficulties and I was trying to get Dee on the line, but I think I had a brain fart and I couldn't remember the email that she was using. So I have sent her the invite to the Hangout and she should be joining us in just a bit. So I do apologize for that. But if you are here for Why Him, the psychology of choosing odd pets, then you are in the right place. And I do thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Missy Show. And I think we do have Dee. We're just going to make sure that Dee has her camera off. There you go. There's Boomer.
There I am.
There you are. There you are. How are you?
Yay! Excuse my voice. Once again, there's pollen and sinus and the whole nine, but I'm here.
Yeah, because in some ways it's nice that we have sunshine because like after last week, it's like this time last Saturday was so just dreary and horrible. It was just we were just rained out all like through Mardi Gras pretty much. But the thing is like now the temp sort of risen, so that's not good, after
Yeah.
swinging back and forth from cold to hot, cold to hot. So
Well, the pollen has started. My car is covered in it, and it's just everywhere. And as soon as that stuff starts to fall, everything starts to just come undone in my nasal passages. So I apologize for the froggy, nasally sound that's coming out of me at the moment.
well, we do just appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us again today. Hey, this is our first show of 2018.
Hey, 2018.
2018, and I'll say my usual spiel. It's Saturday, February 17th, 2018, and you're tuned in to another edition of the Missy Show. We're still your premier source for fun and informative pet topics. And as you've already heard, I'm your host, Jay, for those of you who are brand new maybe. And joining me today is my lovely co-host, Dee.
Hey, hey.
Yes, so this is well, we've touched on this before in the past where we had the episode about what was it, non-traditional pets?
Yeah, non-traditional pets. And I guess this could kind of go into that whole field category of not, because these are, definitely non-traditional, I would think, in some respects.
Yes, and I don't know, I got to thinking and I was like, but what is sort of the psychology behind that? What makes people choose odd pets or what?
Yeah.
And when I say odd, I mean just they're non-traditional. They're not the
Yeah.
typical cats or dogs kind of
Yeah,
deal.
they're not what you normally, when you say you have a pet. When someone says, "Oh, I have a pet," and you think, "Okay, well, what pet do you have? A dog or a cat?" People always naturally think that, okay, someone, you either have a dog or a cat or something like that. But some people say, "Well, I have a monkey." You're
Yeah.
like, "What? Okay, all righty then. Okay." So
Yeah,
yeah,
and the one that always gets me, especially people who have insects as pets, like tarantulas
yeah,
or
yeah.
or hissing cockroaches. I just don't really
I
get.
don't get that. I respect your right to own as many of them as you want, but I will never come to visit you. And
No, no, not if they're roaming around. No.
no, because I would hate to kill your pet. So, because I cannot be held responsible for what I might do if your pet came out to say hello to me. So I'm going to not come visit you. You can tell me about them. You can show me pictures of them, but I will never come to visit you.
No.
Ever.
Mm-mm.
Never, never, never.
Well, speaking of those type of pets, such as tarantulas and things like that, I found on this site, the article is called "Why Choose an Exotic Pet Anyway," and the post is by Dr. Laurie Hess. And one of the reasons she was stating is that many exotic species don't take up too much space. So she was saying for many city dwellers that live in cramped, tiny apartments, a pet such as a cat or dog that spends most of its time outside a cage and requires a lot of space just isn't an option. A small mammal such as a hamster, gerbil, guinea pig, chinchilla, or rat or even some type of reptile or small bird, and also our tarantula friends, can live in a fairly small cage that might be a more feasible choice. Ask anyone who owns one of these smaller exotic species, and they'll tell you that these pets can provide the same love, companionship, and satisfaction that a larger dog or cat can offer. And she says, remember, good things come in small packages. So
Exactly.
that could
And
be one reason. And I mean, that's a good reason, I suppose.
well, if you think about it, if you think about the people that live like in New York, because New York is a, is a place of small space. Space is a luxury. It's not something that you have. So when you think about having a pet, you have to take that into consideration. So as opposed to having a Great Dane, and comparing that, okay, do I have a Great Dane or do I have a gerbil? You know, what kind of space do you have when you're living in possibly an apartment or something, and your kid wants a pet? You probably can't have that dog because of course a dog needs space, and unless you're living large, you know you would probably say, okay, well, we could get them a gerbil or a hamster. Basically all you need is some space on the countertop for the cage, and that's all you're looking at. So I can understand where space being an issue, or why having an exotic pet, or a pet outside of the dog cat kind of thing would be something you would take into consideration. And I would go that route too. A goldfish. Well, I don't know, would a goldfish be considered an exotic pet?
I probably wouldn't say exotic, but
Yeah,
it's still non-traditional though. I mean,
yeah,
people have goldfish, but I mean, it's not as common as having like a dog or cat or something.
yeah. Like if I had kids, that would be the starter pet. If you could keep this fish alive, we might think about a dog. That article you were reading about, Jessica. I think we were both on the same page, because I think I got some notes off of that same article. And another reason that I was looking at was they were saying that it can be great for people with pet allergies, saying that I'm sounding like I have some type of allergy. But, reading it, she was saying that although many people would love to have a pet dog or cat, they often cannot because their family members have allergies to dander that furry pets can carry on their coats. So all is not lost for these people. However, they can still have a loving pet if they choose a reptile, such as a lizard, a turtle, tortoise, or snake that has neither hair nor dander on its skin. And they might even be able to have a hairless rat or guinea pig if they are not severely allergic. And if they are not allergic to feathers, they might also be able to own a bird. So don't despair if you're allergic to hair, which I love that line. So, I mean, and that's a big thing because, lots of people just in general have that whole pet dander thing that we so both know about, with you owning, a cat, and me having had dogs and stuff like that. That fur, hair just lives in the air. It's
Yes, it
everywhere.
does. Yes, it
You,
does. It's everywhere. And you might think you're leaving the house and your
you're
clothes
not.
are fine. And
Mm-mm.
then you look down and it's like, okay, cat hair.
I mean, still to this day, Boomer flies by me every once in a while, and we have cleaned the house. But he's still in the house. It's just like, where does it come from? So, um,
And
that's
that's just crazy because he's been in Rainbow Bridge for some years now.
for
It's
some
just still
years. I
finding him
mean, he's
there.
like, he's the co-owner, and he has some stock in Rainbow Bridge right now. He's been there for a while. So, yeah, it's a thing of, that's a great alternative, especially if you have kids that are like, allergic and have certain allergies and things, but they do want a pet. And you think about, well, what can I get? And lots of kids have like the little, what is the little lizard? Is it an not? Is it an iguana? But I don't know if it's an iguana.
Yeah,
But
I
it's like
know.
the little I can't remember what you call it.
I know you're not talking about a gecko. I don't know if people
No,
have
I'm not
those.
talking about a gecko, but it's just like the little it's like the little lizard. I don't know any other name to call
Okay.
it, but it's like the little pet one they have that people keep or whatever, and people grow very attached. I was watching this pet show, and I wish I could think of the name of it because it's one of my favorite ones. But it's about these three guys that are vets, and they all went to school, whatever. But on the show, this one woman brought in her pet lizard, and she had it for forever. And unfortunately, I think it got sick or something and passed away. And she was so emotionally attached to it, and she was just like, she was just like depressed for a long time because she had it for the longest, and he would get up on her shoulder, and he would, So there can be, I know a lot of people think dogs and cats and things like that are the things that you get because they can play with you, whatever. But, some of these exotic pets still have the same kind of, I don't know if they can fetch, but I guess they could. I don't know. But, you still have that same emotional connection, I would think, to some of them. So, and some people, like that and have that.
Yeah, and it makes sense. And to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying about the lady and her lizard, um, for those of us, well, most people, it's very painful when you lose a pet. And a lot of times with dogs and cats, their lifespan is, pretty limited compared to human lifespans.
Yeah.
So another reason that some people might go for an exotic pet is because some of them actually live longer.
Yeah,
Because I
exactly.
remember that show we did about the birds, like the parrots or whatever, and they were talking about how long they can live.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, and that's another thing, that's what I would think about because some people have those parents that live like 80, almost
Yeah.
100 years or whatever. So when you're thinking about having an exotic pet, I would hope that you also think about, and I guess you think about this with any pet, but with those that that have the lifespan to live that long, okay, what are the precautions that I'm going to take just in case, for this parrot that might live to be 80 to 90 years old beyond me.
Yeah, because
You know, you,
if you're already 40 or
I
something.
know you're like, hey, you might outlive me, Tippy. I think I might need to get you somebody on the will list or whatever. So you might want to take that into consideration when you're doing stuff like that. So it's a lot of the exotic pets sometimes, well, not a lot, but I guess some of them can have lifespans that are beyond your typical dog or cat that 14, 15 years or something like that. So take that into consideration.
Yeah, and I'll have to post a link in the description because I remember we did a show about that, about taking kind of precautions and safeguards, for your pet to make sure you have a backup person who's willing to take that pet. Which it doesn't just have to be for exotic pets, but especially when you're getting those animals that do live a really long time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's something you want to take into consideration. It's great and you're caught up in the moment, but just when if it is a choice of yours to go out to get an exotic pet or whatever, make sure you do your research, make sure you understand because you're not thinking dog cat where we all automatically kind of have an idea of what the lifespan is, typical lifespan is, and things like that. Make sure you do your research, make sure because there's a lot of stuff that goes into taking care of an exotic pet that probably isn't the same as it would be with taking care of a dog or cat or something like that. So
Exactly. And a lot of times I really didn't do research about this, but even just like some of the foods that they eat, I
yeah.
I guess I don't know if you can just go to your local Pet Smart or something and just find,
Well,
food or,
with snakes because I think they feed them little mice or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that. I
that's
think
right.
so. It's not like you can go to Walmart and go to the food aisle and see that's kind of barbaric, but but I mean it's the truth. They I think they feed them that or something like that. So you have to take into consideration that you're going to have to feed them and they're going to have to eat certain things that might not be something that you can go to your local, grocery store to pick up. So you need to make sure that you have adequate, nutrition for them. That's a good nutrition base because you don't want to feed them just anything that could possibly make them sick. So you want to make sure that you do your research and you make sure that you know what is healthy for them and what they need in order to be a happy, healthy, exotic pet in your life.
Oh, you just reminded me, Dee, of why I could never own a snake, besides
Yeah,
just the obvious reasons, that most people are just kind of leery of snakes anyway. But
yeah.
I could not have to feed it
Oh, that ain't
mice.
happening. No,
And
that's
and I
not happening.
guess and I know that's what they eat. I get that in the wild, they would eat
Yeah,
small rodents and things like that. And like you say though, but if you're going to be a snake owner, I mean that would be part of the
that's a
territory.
part
So
of
you
it,
better do
and
research and
especially if you have, a child or, make sure they're aware, because they might be caught up, their friend might have a snake or something or whatever, who knows? And they think, okay, well, yeah, I want to get one, but then make sure that they're aware that this is a part of it. This is what because that would freak me out. I'm sorry, that's not happening. I can't do that. That's,
no,
I know it's a
no.
circle of life. I know it's the food chain. I know it's a part of it. But no, my snake would be a vegetarian. So
Which would probably mean your snake would be dead. So
my
you
snake would be dead. He would probably be looking at me like, really, lady? Really? Really? Carrots again? This ain't gonna work, So I no, that's not an option for me. That's not an option. If I can't get the food out of Walmart, it's not happening. So no, it's not an option for me.
Yeah, and then, thinking of other reptiles and things too, like aren't there, I don't know what iguanas eat exactly, but aren't there like some pets that like eat insects and stuff, and you would
Yeah,
have to
yeah. You gotta get your
have to go
crickets in
somewhere and
your
buy crickets
yeah.
for
You
'em?
gotta get that stuff, and I mean, Charlie would die because I can't. I can't. I'm not gonna be able to do that. And then if you have a child that if the child's not there and you have to take care of him, you're gonna be the one responsible for feeding Charlie. And I'm just Charlie. No, Charlie, you're going on a diet for 2 days until Timmy gets back. So no,
Yeah.
but you have to take all of this stuff into consideration, and you need to know, like with the dog, like with Boomer, when he wasn't feeling well, I could tell he wasn't feeling well. Or if there was something wrong, I could look at him and tell, okay, well, that's not normal for him. That's not normal for a dog. Looking at just going back to that TV show that I watched, they had a pet turtle, and there was something going on with the turtle, and they knew, I don't know how, but I guess if you had a turtle and you knew what the turtle was like normally, when it wasn't that way, I guess you could pick up on it. But they brought him in and they were like, something's just not right with the turtle. And sure enough, they took him in and they were like, well, he has an infection on his inside his shell. And so you have to be aware that you're going to be looking for things that aren't probably what you're normally used to see. I don't know what I guess you would see on a dog or a cat or something like that. So you need to be aware of those things.
Yeah, and I guess people who decide to take this on, which was kind of one of the first things that the lady was talking about on her site, is it's sort of an adventure. You have to be a person, I guess, who really wants something outside the norm.
Yeah.
Most people know what's entailed with taking care of a dog or a cat or whatever, but probably you're a person, maybe you're a bit more of a risk taker, or you're wanting a new experience. So
Yeah.
definitely, if you're going to have a pet tarantula or a pet, and I keep going back to the tarantulas because I just can't picture myself as a tarantula owner. That's just no.
I mean,
But,
and I know there are people out there that have them, and they're like,
mhm.
this
And
is
mad
fuzzy,
respect
and
for you.
mad respect for you, bow down to you, will wave the flag for you. I'm not coming to your house. It just ain't happening. I will, buy your T-shirt, but I'm not. It's not my thing. So it's
No, because
not
if
my
he
thing.
got out, if they let him roam, I don't know.
And you can't come visit me with them. You can't. I'll invite anybody else's dog to my house, but because if he got out and you say, well, he'll come out, and when he comes out, just call me and I'll come get him. No,
Mm-mm.
just either either you're gonna stay there and get him, or he can have the house, and we're gonna swap houses. You will not live in my house, and I will go live in yours, because it's not happening. But you you like what you like, and sometimes some people, like you were saying, some people like the thing of, what kind of pet do you have? A dog or cat? No, I have a pet tarantula, and they like that. What? They like the I don't necessarily say the attention that it brings, but I guess in some ways it is the attention that it brings, because if somebody told me they had a pet, whatever, I'm like, what? Okay. So
But
some
it
people,
does make for a great story. It makes for a great
a great
conversation.
conversation. Exactly. You have great conversation, as opposed to, oh, you have a dog. Oh, what kind? Okay, yeah, yeah. Or you have, I have a leopard. What? Huh? So it is a conversation starter. So, to say
Yeah,
the least.
and the truly exotic ones that you kind of think about when you think about exotic pets, like having leopards and all that type of stuff. Of course, that's another whole ball game.
Mm.
And some of the people, they feel like, hey, we're saving them, and sometimes I guess it makes sense because I've been on certain sites and read different articles about like certain animals, they got hurt in the wild or whatever, and they
Yeah,
couldn't fend for themselves anymore, and like say they were a baby when it happened. So I do
exactly.
understand that you would want to bring it in and nurture it, but with some of those animals, you may need to, contact wildlife authorities or something, because once they get bigger, that could be an issue.
Yeah, yeah, and just I mean, I think I came across a story about. I think there was like something happened back in 2011 or something in Ohio where um, someone had like some animals, exotic pet animals, and I don't know if it was in a sanctuary or whatever, but it was within a neighborhood area, not neighborhood as in a community thing, but it was in near where people were living, and something happened where the particular person, um, he I think ended up either killing himself, but in the process of it, he let all the animals loose.
Oh no.
So what they ended up having to do was they ended up having to kill, unfortunately, a lot of those animals because they were, you know, within reach of people. So there were like Bengal tigers and lions and things of that nature that were just, out, um, that they had to go in. I think in the end, 49 of the animals were had to be put down.
Oh, that's
Um,
awful.
yeah, the owner released them all from their cages, and then he killed himself. Something I don't know the full story, so don't quote me on a lot of this, but I know that something happened back in 2011, back in I think it was Zanesville, Ohio, where this particular person had a lot of exotic animals. I don't know if it was a sanctuary or what have you, but I don't know. Who knows what was going on? But he ended up releasing all of them from the cage, and he ended up committing suicide. And I guess, well, I don't know. I'm not going to say that because I don't know what was going through his mind or what was going on with him. But they had to come in and put a lot of them down. Some of them, fortunately, I think a bear and some monkeys and some leopards were able to be transported to a zoo to be taken care of. But a lot of them, because they were out roaming, they had to put them down. They had to basically put them down. So in that instance, it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, the animals like that, like tigers and things, don't get me wrong, they're adorable as cubs.
Oh
Oh my
yeah,
gosh, they're
they grow
so
up though.
beautiful. They're so beautiful.
Oh yeah.
But it's just that they're not going to stay cubs. They're
No,
going
they're
to
gonna
grow
grow
up.
up.
Yeah.
They're gonna grow, and some people, because I think I was seeing some story where, because I mean, I try to give myself, good morning in the morning. When you go to work and you're looking for something to make your day not as Monday-ish, and
Yes.
so you go and you look and you go through the ticker tape of Yahoo or what have you, and you look for these stories. And I remember seeing this story where this man had a relationship with this cub when it was a lion, and he was the caretaker and they, he helped take care of it, but he ended up going away, and the lion grew up. And so the story came back where the guy went back to visit, and they were like, will the lion remember him? And the lion remembered him from when he was a cub. And when he was a cub, the
Oh,
lion used to go and get on his little shoulders. And as soon as he said when he came back, that's exactly what that lion did. But it was huge, and it took him down. It took him down to the ground. So you have to remember, yeah, it's a beautiful cub, and they look like little furry cats, and they're wonderful. But these beautiful little cubs are going to grow up to be nice, big animals that will be able to take you down and take off limbs and things of that nature. So keep that in mind, and also that you can't just, because I've seen stories where people say, well, I'll just release it. Well, you can't just release a lion
no,
because it just can't do that. So,
no.
because one, they're domesticated, they're used to you feeding it, and there are a lot of these animals that where you've been feeding it. So now you throw it out into the wild and they don't have the skills that they need in order to survive. So,
Right.
you
It
have
kind
to
of made
make
me
sure.
think about people when they try to have like alligators and things like that as pets.
Exactly.
Once
Exactly.
again, they're
Oh yeah.
manageable when they're small, not so
Yeah.
much.
Or those, you've seen the stories where you have the person that has the what's the big boa constrictor snake? What is
Oh,
the
yes, yes.
where they end up because you have to be very mindful, because I think they just found one not too long ago where one got loose or somebody let it go and it was just in the neighborhood, you know,
Hey,
just just going around, and the dogs are like, what the heck is that? So you have to take into consideration, you just can't release these things. They don't just go out and find a wife and kids or something. I don't know, but I'm just saying, you have to, once you take that animal into your life, you have to have full responsibility for them.
yes,
And
you do.
if you do find out that, okay, this is probably not the best thing for me, you need to make sure that you take the proper precautions of getting it somewhere where someone can take care of it.
Which is why people, please don't let it just be a vanity or an egoic thing, especially
Exactly.
when we're talking about those types of animals where it's going to get out of hand and you just want to say, hey, I have a lion,
And yeah,
not a good idea. Think about the welfare of the animal. Always put
exactly.
the animal's welfare first.
That should always be the first thing in it. If you're not able to and equipped to take care of animals in the way that they need to be taken care of, then just get something else or do whatever, because it's not fair to the animal. It's not fair at all.
So basically, if we're talking ferrets, talking lizards, turtles, hedgehogs, things like that, yes, they're great pets and they're convenient because one of the last things that she was talking about, they don't need to be walked. So, I mean, they probably don't have all the maintenance that kind of goes into taking
Yeah,
care of a dog or a cat. They may have different things that you have to consider, but you
yeah,
don't have to worry about walking them and all that type of stuff. So, I mean, those types of exotic animals, wonderful.
yeah, yeah.
Tigers, bears, not so much.
Not so much. No, not so much. Not
Not
so
saying
much.
they aren't lovely, charming animals as cubs and all that stuff. I'm sure they are, but for safety purposes for yourself and the animal, but mainly for you, probably don't
Yeah,
want to do that.
you probably don't want to have just one hanging out in your house. Because you have to do it. You have to, even though they've been raised um by humans or whatever, they are still wild animals. They are still wild animals, capable of of things that just are within their nature. So
Yeah. They may not even intend to hurt you, but they still have claws and sharp teeth.
yeah, yeah. They don't, for them it's play. For you, it's the loss of a limb.
Yes.
So you just have to take that into consideration.
For them, it's playtime. For you, it might be dead time. So let's
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
keep it in balance.
Sleepy time. No more wake up. So there you go.
Okay, we're so bad.
I know.
Um, Well, I want to thank you guys. Well, we both want to thank you guys once again for tuning in to another edition of the Missy Show. I know Dee's sinuses are not acting right now, so we're not going to hold her. We will be back in 2 weeks. Right now, we're going to kind of stick to our bi-weekly deal. So our next show will be Saturday, March 3rd, and still on Google Hangouts. We're still kind of in negotiations. We may come back to Blog Talk Radio, but we'll keep you posted on that. But for right now, we'll be on Google Hangouts. We'll be back on March 3rd. Same time, same place, and I will keep you guys abreast of what the topic will be. Stay tuned. And thank you for
Bye.
joining us. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.
Bye.